time, space, history, be damned.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 times Claire was a badass on Outlander.
May I remind you, Lord Thomas, there are parts of England, Newcastle comes to mind, where the local accent is equally unintelligible to our ears.
For this list, we'll be looking at the times our favorite time-traveling sassenach proved her mettle. Look out for spoilers, and let us ken if we missed any badass moments in the comments below. Number 10. Dr. Rawlings. There are plenty of times throughout Outlander where Claire's 20th century sensibilities come into conflict with 18th century life.
Look, if you had the disease, you could easily spread it to another man by touching his food or simply touching his hand.
Throughout the series, one of the things she constantly has problems with is the lack of proper medical care available to her when she's back in the past, in particular for women.
Your wrist is broken. How did this happen?
In Season 5, in typical Claire fashion, she takes matters into her own hands. Not only does she literally invent penicillin, but she begins giving out medical and sex advice under the pseudonym Dr. Rawlings.
Who's Dr. Rawlings?
Me.
It's a dangerous move, and one that she's literally kidnapped and assaulted for later in the season, but Claire knows it's something she has to do. Number 9. I will cut your heart out. Jamie and Claire are soulmates, but things weren't always so written in the stars, and Jamie wasn't always the gallant gentleman.
I was taken hostage by Jack Randall. You're trying to say that's somehow my fault?
Well, it is your fault. Had you stayed put where I ordered you to stay, none of this would have happened.
We all remember the spanking scene in Season 1, a punishment Jamie thinks he must give to Claire after she tries to run back to the stones, and the men risk their lives to save her after she's kidnapped. Claire's incredibly angry, understandably, and after some soul-searching, Jamie apologizes.
If ever my hand is raised in rebellion against you again, then I ask that this holy iron may pierce my heart.
The two make up the only way they know how, with some great sex. But this time, Claire lets Jamie know that if he ever touches her like that again, that she will cut his heart out and have it for breakfast. You tell him, Claire. Number 8. Goodbye, Lecomte.
Quel ennui. Le résultat est tellement flagrant que je ne vois même pas l'intérêt de rester plus longtemps.
Season 2's most despicable villain was Lecomte Saint-Germain, a French merchant who puts Claire on his enemy list from the moment she and Jamie step foot in France. He tries to thwart her and Jamie at every turn, even poisoning Claire at one point.
Claire?
But Claire ultimately gets the last laugh. While pleading with the king to let Jamie out of prison, Claire is asked to help the king discern whether or not Lecomte and Claire's friend, Master Raymond, have committed crimes of sorcery.
I see a shadow. Behind your eyes, Comte.
Claire attempts to save both men's lives. She is a doctor after all, but Lecomte ends up poisoned. Even if she did try to save him, we can't imagine Claire was all that upset by this outcome. Number 7. Setting Jamie's shoulder. From the jump, it was clear that Claire would have a hard time fitting in 18th century Scotland. We mean, who among us wouldn't?
I'm not going with you.
Yes, you are.
What? Are you going to cut my throat if I don't?
I know.
A lot of that stems from her strong-willed nature, but even from the beginning, Claire couldn't hold back the fact that she had a breadth of medical knowledge uncommon for a woman at the time.
I know all of this because I'm from the future.
When she first meets Jamie, the men are about to set his shoulder back into place, but Claire intervenes, afraid they might break his arm.
Don't you dare! Stand aside at once. You break his arm if you do it like that. You have to get the bone of the upper arm in the correct position before it slips back into joint.
With them holding him down, she's able to properly set Jamie's shoulder. But it's scary to think about what might have happened if she hadn't been there. Number 6. The Claire and Jenny Roadshow. If there is one person, other than Jamie, in the Outlander verse who can match Claire's stubbornness and passion, it's Jenny Murray.
Where on earth do you think you're going? You just gave birth. You can't leave.
You may be armed with a map and a fair knowledge of the area, but that's worthless for tracking soldiers.
Jenny has that signature Fraser hot-headed streak, and in episode 14 of season 1, she puts it to work. After Jamie is kidnapped by the British, Claire and Jenny set off to track the soldiers who took him and find out what happened.
We are not harlots or thieves. We just want to know where the Highlander is. The red-headed one.
Along the way, the two prove to be a pretty great team, even if they don't always agree on how to properly dispose of a soldier after they've taken him hostage.
Where is he? The Highlander!
Enough! It's the only tongue the English understand.
We love this duo of swashbuckling ladies, and we wish we got more of them together.
Wait! Wait!
I'm a courier. Please.
If he's a courier, maybe one of the dispatchers will say something about Jamie. I found something.
Number 5. Cursing the King.
Get out of my way.
Outlander has a lot of fun with Claire's signature potty mouth, especially when people have zero clue what she's actually talking about when she curses. At one point in the first season, Jamie has to ask Claire what a certain expletive that starts with F means. But even knowing that the word hasn't quite caught on yet in this time doesn't stop her from using it.
What does mean?
In season 2, Claire meets back up with the despicable Blackjack Randall, who tries to keep her from walking away from him by invoking the King of France.
Let go of me.
But Claire's got some choice words for the monarch.
The king.
The king.
It's a badass moment, although it does lose some heat when Claire realizes the king in question is right behind her.
Madame Fraser, il plaît au roi de vous revoir.
Moi aussi, Votre Majesté.
Number 4. Making penicillin.
I'm making penicillin, or at least I'm going to try to.
We mentioned this one in passing before, but it's too great not to get its own entry. Throughout much of season 5, Claire is on a scientific mission to create penicillin, well over 100 years before it would actually be discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1928.
Pig flesh is a good substitute for human tissue.
Exactly. And I've left you some drawings of penicillium mold. So look on the microscope like I showed you.
In episode 5 of season 5, we see Claire peering into her microscope with shock before inviting Marcelly to witness her brilliance. She's finally done it. Outlander doesn't really give thought to how Claire's creation of penicillin might affect the future timeline, but it's such a showing of her smarts and perseverance that we'll let that slide.
Eureka, Claire. You found your penicillin.
Eat your heart out, Fleming. Number 3. Back from Darkness. One of the toughest and most brutal scenes in Outlander history, at the end of season 1, Jamie is assaulted by Blackjack Randall.
God. What did Randall do to you?
Claire and company are able to rescue him, but he's understandably so scarred by the experience that he begins to push everyone away. Not even Claire or Myrta are able to bring him out of the darkness.
Oil of lavender. Smells familiar, doesn't it?
What are you doing? Leave me be.
I've left you be for far too long.
So Claire decides to jump into the darkness with him. It's a really intense moment for both Jamie and Claire, and maybe not initially the best way to handle things considering what he's been through, but Claire is at her wit's end.
Why are you doing this?
You know why. To find out exactly what happened in that room between you and Randall. What you're holding back.
If anything, this moment proves she will do whatever she must for this relationship.
You belong to no one else but me. And I belong to you. And nothing will ever change that.
Number 2. Becoming a doctor. Claire always knew that healing was her calling.
What we're going to do is we're going to look after this poor girl. Take her up to the guest room where she'll be safe. Fergus, go get my medical box.
Whether on a battlefield in World War II or in the 18th century Scottish Highlands, medicine and healing were just something she was born to do. So in Season 3, she takes the necessary next steps to make that dream happen.
You must be Dr. Sims.
I am. And you are?
Claire Randall, first year.
Oh, yes. The dean informed me there was a woman in this year's incoming class.
After Brianna is old enough to go to school, Claire gets into Harvard Medical School. Yes, you heard that right, Harvard. She faces discrimination for her gender right off the jump, but proves herself again and again, and also forges a bond with Joe, a black man who understands a bit of what she's going through.
Is this spot taken?
No, it's all yours.
Thanks.
Claire is able to graduate and become a surgeon before heading back to the past, bringing even more knowledge with her.
She was 7 there. It was at the graduation. My graduation from medical school.
Well, you're a doctor now.
Surgeon.
Oh, you always were one. Now you have the title to go with it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Am I not Lady Brock Turek? And here's our number 1 entry, folks. After deciding to return to Scotland mid-season 2, things heat up for our favorite pair as war looms on the horizon.
Everyone here is under my protection. If I can save you all with my surrender, I'll do it.
Wait! Perhaps there's another way.
After a battle at Preston Pans, Jamie, Claire, and friends find themselves trapped in an abandoned church surrounded by the British. Claire has the brilliant plan to pretend she's being held captive by the group, so they can trade her perceived safety for everyone's freedom, but Jamie refuses.
Look, say I'm your hostage. They won't fire the place with me inside. Exchange me. Use me to bargain with them. It worked the last time.
Listen, we appreciate the chivalry, but now is not the time. And Claire agrees. She implores Jamie to let her do this, asking him,
Am I not Lady Brock Turek? Are these men not my responsibility too?
He has no choice but to let her go. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.